What's up guys, Magic Nafs here, and in today's video I'm going to go over some of the newest upgrades that you can have on your VFC Glock 18c, specifically the slide. Because if you aren't aware, and if you own a VFC Glock 18c, they have now added or on the market now you can get a V3 or version 3 slide for your 18c. But there's a couple big differences about it that you have to be aware of. The first thing if you get the V3 slide is that the aluminum, just based off what I've noticed so far, is the very same material as they use it for the Glock 45, which I also have, and the other Gen 5 Glocks, and it seems to be a lot more durable from what I've tested so far. And because on the Gen 3 Glock 18c slide, because of the little notch here that grabs the slide lock here, if you like to hit the slide release a lot, the Gen 3 one would wear out pretty frequently and pretty fast. So far with this one, and I've seen this with the VFC Glock 45 too, is that with their Gen 5 slide, it doesn't wear out as much, or at least not as fast. Does this mean you should be constantly hitting the slide release? Well, if you can, I would probably still just do a power stroke just to prolong the notch there, if anything. But you can be glad that it does seem to hold up much better now. It doesn't take as much, or it survives longer. Let's put it that way. If you tend to hit the slide release in those quick moments of reloading. The coating of the paint as well is a lot better too. It doesn't scratch or wear as easily as the Gen 3 did, based off what I've noticed so far. It will wear, obviously, at some points, but the coating of it is a lot more smoother and just has a better, more durable finish to it, I guess. But the biggest differences that you will need to be aware of is if you get the V3 slide, is that if I take the slide off here, is that the sights are now they now take the Gen 5 sights. So your Gen 3 Glock sights will not work with this. Because of the way the cutout is at the top for the rear sight, especially the rear sight, is different. You can't just put your Gen 3 sight from your Gen 3 Glock slide onto this. This is completely different now. It is now held in place by the screw which holds the blowback housing and such here. So in this case, when you get this slide, or if you get this V3 Glock 18c slide, you will also need to get some Gen 5 Glock 45 or 17, basically Gen 5 rear sights and front sights. Now, the front sight you technically don't need to, because it will still accept the Gen 3 front sight, but if you're gonna go through this trouble, you might as well just get the Gen 5 one anyways. The big thing you have to be aware of with the Gen 5 rear sight for the Glock is that when you get it, it will not come with its own nut or for your screw to hold it in place. If you buy the Glock 45, it will have it obviously, but if you're just buying the rear sight itself, there's no nut for you to screw that into place. So specifically, it uses an M2.5 nut, just like this. So you can get these on Amazon if you really want, or you can just buy it from any from specific Airsoft online stores that will have the M2.5 a nut for that, so you can just do that. But if you can find some that are just like this, or even black, if you really really care, you can do that as well. So it will fit in a little slot for the rear sight, much like this one here. You'll see it will go right inside there. You can put a tiny dab of super glue in there if you wish. Not too much, obviously, in case you have to switch it out or something like that. And then you should be able to screw in and be nice and snug. Now, the one thing you might have to be careful of or be aware of, and this is only in my case, maybe you won't have to deal with this, but when I was shooting this, after I installed the slide onto my Glock 18c, even at close range at about 10 or 20 yards per se, or we'll say 10 yards, sorry, I was aiming directly at a target and my shots are going high. Like, I'm aiming right at the center of the target and all my shots are going above my sights. Now, given that Glock sights are not adjustable, the only thing that I could do to kind of adjust that was I had to take the rear sight of the Glock and file it down to make it shorter. So that way, instead of it being like this, I'm exaggerating this obviously, but instead of it being like this, now I'm shortening this down, so eventually now it'll hopefully be as level as possible, because I was essentially doing this in order for my shots to actually hit on target. So I mean, I can't. It was either I had to raise this or I had to shorten this. So I had to go with this, obviously, in order to get it right around there. So all I did, and this is just a spare one that I had, is I took a file like this, and I had to file down the bottom, and I would do this with the nut in place here, just so that it would also be smoothed out in the same level. And I would just file this very carefully. I would just file the bottom of this, as well as I would file the back of this too, because basically you have to remember this is sitting on top of the slide, so you have to have both filed down just the right amount, so that way it was slowly getting shorter and shorter, so that eventually the sights, instead of being like this, now they're a little more even. So once I did that, I was able to install it back on, and now it's shooting a lot better, much more flatter on the those 10 or even 20 yard shots. Granted, with the hop up and with the way the drop barrel works, because with Glocks especially, I guess, or in this case, it's just the when the slide is recoiling. If I show you here, actually, when the slide is recoiling, it does kind of tilt the barrel upwards a little bit. So I'd say after about 30 or so yards, the BBs tend to go up a little bit, and that's including with the hop up too, obviously, but it'll kind of just do that, right? Really not the end of the world, because I mean, it's Airsoft anyways, right? But you will have to keep in mind that that's what you kind of have to compensate or be aware of, is that and this is with a lot of Airsoft stuff, is that it's gonna be dead on at a certain yardage, but then after a little while, providing you have your hop up dialed in properly, or the right spec, is that it's gonna start to go a little bit higher. So instead of at the chest per se, it's gonna possibly headshot them at a certain distance, and then after that it's gonna dip down. So you that just gives you the maximum range, right? You're just gonna go here. It's going to go up a little bit and then down. So that is something to be aware of. If you're at a further out distance and you're aiming at a smaller target, you may have to aim a little bit lower in order to compensate for that little arcing towards the end of your shot. So other than that, though, like, that's the only modification that I had to make with this specific with the rear sight. On mine, again, you may not even have to do this. Maybe I just got unlucky with my slide, but that is something to be aware of when I was installing this and just testing it out on on my Glock 18c. Now it's so far performing pretty well. We'll have to do some more testing on it, obviously, but you know, I like the finish, the way it's shooting. It seems much more durable than the original one, so yeah, I'm looking forward to see how well this performs. But if you have questions about this, let me know in the comments below. But thank you guys for watching, and hope to see you guys in my future videos. And until next time, peace out, guys.